a chance considering what I do.
How many different responses did you get after telling people what you do?
Well, some people will kind of go, ugh, really? And other people are very interested. They say, really? Well, how did you end up in, this particular type of organization? And I'm just very honest with people and share my story with them. And I think that once they see somebody standing in front of them that is able to and willing to be open and honest with them about what they're doing and why they're doing it, and kind of the life I left behind that was much easier than the one I've embarked on. But the right path in life is not usually the easiest path traveled. And so I learned at a very young age that you have to be strong enough to stand up and fight for what you believe in, and take it one step further than that, but be willing to stand up and fight on behalf of those who are either unwilling or unable to fight for themselves. And I have no problem doing that.
Well, Sue, would you have any final words to our audience that you might like to?
I would just like to say I'm very appreciative of the opportunity to be here, and I hope that what I'm doing will encourage other people to stand up for what you think is right and approach those groups that you have felt in the past will not be open to conversation. And if they're not open to conversation, you just have to keep at it and keep at it and keep at it, and eventually you will wear them down and they will talk to you, and together you can work something out that will affect the entire community that you're in. So
wonderful. Well, Sue, thank you very, very much for the interview today, and hope we will hear from you again very soon, and I hope you the best in your campaign.
Thank you so much. Register to vote. One vote does make a difference. Thank you.
All right, and now we'll get into some of the other normal news. First story is a very, very important appeals decision regarding qualified patients of Anaheim versus the city of Anaheim. This is a recent appeals court decision that came down that it was kind of halfway this way, kind of halfway that way. They didn't really say, yes, they cannot forbid you, but they sent the case back to the court with the very, very important provision that the federal prohibition has no effect on the state's laws. This is very, very important because a lot of the cases have been based upon the federal prohibition. As a matter of fact, 140 cities are being sued by the ASA because of that prohibition, because of the federal prohibition. They base their prohibition on in their little boilerplate that they have on the law, on the regulations. No business can operate in the city if the operation violates city, state, or federal laws. And so 140 cities in California have based a lot of their prohibitions, or based the prohibition on cannabis on that very law. And now they can't do it any longer. So they sent the case back to the Superior Court in Orange County. It's going to be very, very interesting. I was at the Superior Court hearing, which was a very fascinating experience, and this was going back and forth between the attorneys and the 3-judge panel, and they had a lot of very, very good questions, and by the questions they were asking, I thought they were leaning in our direction. Well, they didn't lean quite far enough in our direction. They didn't say, no, you can't prohibit it, but they sent the case back to the Superior Court in Orange County with the provision, hey, re-examine this case under the provision that the federal prohibition does not affect the case. And we got our next story is regarding Riverside supervisors are actually working on medical cannabis law now. They've been challenged enough, they've lost enough battles in the courts. They are now examining and seriously putting together a law for the county to permit medical marijuana dispensaries. This is something that they've been going on a long time now. Well, we had a case just recently where the federal government is suing the state of Arizona because of the law that they passed regarding the border enforcement. Now, DEA agents, about a half a dozen of them, not DEA agents, excuse me, the heads of the DEA are asking the president to sue California should we pass Proposition 19. That's Proposition 19, folks. Remember, Proposition 19. Very important on the ballot this year. And they got a little trickier provision on this, however, because normally, right in the Constitution, it states that the federal government has the primary responsibility for border enforcement. Whereas in health and safety issues, this has been a halfway this way, halfway that way situation. And most of the time, the states are given a free rein to devise their own methods of dealing with health issues. I mean, we've got some states that have effectively socialized medicine. And we've got other states that you can't buy a health insurance policy. So this is going to be a very interesting decision. Okay, now pick your poison. The beer distributors are opposing Proposition 19. The wonderful, friendly people who want to keep you inebriated don't want you to smoke marijuana because that's digging into their market. So the anti-Proposition 19 campaign has just received a $10,000 donation from the beer distributors to stop 19 because that's going to hurt their market. The other big donation that the anti-19 people have is from the Sheriff's Association. $30,000, I think it was, from not the Sheriff's Association, let's see here. The Police Chiefs Association, excuse me. The Police Chiefs Association gives the most to Proposition 19 with a contribution of $30,000. And we also have medical marijuana being considered in San Diego now. San Diego is considering regulations for medical marijuana. They finally lost enough court battles that they realize they've got to go by the will of the people. We've got 125 dispensaries in San Diego, but technically none of them are legal right now because the San Diego County and San Diego City refuse to follow the state laws. We have Proposition 215 and SB 420 that established our rights for medical cannabis. And City of San Diego, State of San Diego County, their county prosecutor Dumanis have totally ignored the state law in that regard. And just yesterday, the Orange County supervisors were talking about a ban on medical marijuana in the unincorporated areas. They decided to step back and wait a little bit. They decided, hey, maybe with Proposition 19 coming up, this is not the right time. As a matter of fact, regarding Proposition 19, Tom Amiano just introduced a bill today regarding the possible conflicts in 19 and the fuzzy areas in 19 that a lot of people are complaining about, including a lot of cannabis consumers, medical cannabis consumers. A lot of areas are not really clear in 19, so Tom Amiano just introduced a bill that would clear up these areas, and the bill would be effective once 19 passes. So a lot of the objections to 19 are gone. Kapoof, because the companion bill from Amiano would clear those up. I thank you for joining us for Orange County NORML News. Please visit our website. That's orangecountynormal.org. We've got the news, this edition and past editions, as well as a lot of important events on the website, where the meetings are at, where the rallies are at, where the parties are at. You don't want to miss that. So thank you for joining us and have a wonderful day.